Hello, this is CityScape, our regular vodcast featuring people, place, and ideas that impact our community. I'm Dan West with the Livonia-Westland Chamber of Commerce. Today, we will hop on this bus and talk to the general manager of the Smart Bus System as we break down the Wayne County Transit Millage and what it means for Livonia and Westland. Wayne County residents will vote on Tuesday, August 4th to determine the fate of a proposal to expand bus service to the entire county with connectivity to the Tri-County area. The Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation, known as SMART, would be the primary provider for public transit. Voters will be asked to approve nearly $1 million for 10 years to support this effort across the county. A recent state law eliminated the opt-out provision from SMART for local communities. For Livonia, one of 17 communities not in the SMART system, this would be a new tax. In Westland, one of 26 communities in the SMART system, this would be a millage renewal. In Livonia, there would be new fixed bus routes added. In Westland, routes would be added to the current bus paths along Wayne Road, Michigan Avenue, and Warren Avenue. Both cities, with separate funding sources, operate local bus services to help seniors and the handicapped make local trips to stores and doctor's appointments with the Live and Go program in Livonia and the Nankin Transit program in Westland. Here to discuss the millage about how this will enhance the service in Livonia-Westland across the county, we're joined by SMART's General Manager, Tiffany Gunter. Tiffany, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Brad. You Dan.
And nice having us on a bus today, and it's a really warm day today when we're doing this, so the air conditioning is really nice.
We appreciate the ability to provide this bus for you and for all of our passengers.
This proposal is designed to expand and enhance service you already provide, especially in the communities that are opting out now in the county. If approved, where would we see the routes in Livonia and in Westland going forward?
So there would be several routes. We have 5 new routes proposed, or 8 new routes proposed, and 5 expansion of routes. And in Livonia, what you'll see is Middle Belt, Newburgh, Plymouth Road, and the 7-mile crosstown toward Redford and Detroit being expanded, and those services coming in for the first time, connecting the system fully. We would also see in Westland the Newborn Road proposed route and enhancements to the Ford Road route and the Michigan Avenue fast service that's there now, the 261 that takes us to the airport. We know that the travel patterns of the data show that people are making movements from Livonia to Detroit, Livonia to Westland, and Livonia to Redford. And these routes that are proposed are really looking at those movements and addressing that place where we have those gaps and fulfilling those service promises. Now, just so you know, those routes that are proposed, they are concept routes. What SMART has done historically, whenever we propose a new route, is we go and we speak with the community about what would best serve that community. Where should the stops be located? What's the frequency that they think is most appropriate? And then we work with the community to provide that service. So it's never just we tell you what to do and put service in. We make sure that it's something that we have a good relationship with the communities that we're working with.
Would approval of this millage impact what people currently see with the Live and Go program in Livonia, the Nankin Transit program? People that use the local service in Livonia and Westland.
Yes, it would. So what we know is that when there's a community provider that people rely on and understand and love, when a millage is renewed in Oakland County or Macomb County, what we do is we strengthen those small providers. So if I can liken it to Oakland County, when they went all in 2022, they have the North Oakland Transit Authority, the Western Oakland Transit Authority, and the Older Persons Commission, and they all are small service providers. What that millage did when we went all in is a lot of those communities wanted to strengthen those providers, so that funding went to them. We simply strengthened those providers, and their ridership is up over 100%. So those same northern western Oakland County communities that were somewhat hesitant or resistant because of the unknown change that was coming are now using that service for seniors and people with disabilities, students, and all of these specialized transportation services. What we're seeing with this proposal is that Nankin and Live and Go would see an increase in the funding that they have so that they could provide greater services for that same population.
So chances are there'll just be more bus routes available for people, because a lot of those people phone in or make appointments to get picked up to go to doctors and stores and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I imagine it would expand the capability for that.
Absolutely. Right now, those services are always busting at the seams. We're always getting calls and trying to make sure that we can provide those services. Nankin gets those same calls. Live and Go gets those same calls. This would be additional funding for those communities to do that.
Now, historically, SMART has had a good chunk of Western Wayne County, Livonia, Northville, something that they can't that have opted out of SMART through the years. How has that limited what SMART has been able to do for recent years up until now?
So there's always this issue of not being able to complete your infrastructure. Again, if you've ever been a puzzler and you get to your last 6 or 7 pieces and you can't find them because the kids have run off with them, it's very frustrating because you can't see the full picture of the possibilities. Once you are able to connect that system, there are economies of scale that come from that when you don't have to go around the community. We have several of our passengers that ride the bus to the edge of Livonia and then have to figure it out for the rest of the journey. And we know that there's healthcare systems and there's beyond the hospital systems, large employers that we have not been able to historically reach. Having reliable, connected public transit is an attractor for talent and for industry. So what we know is when we're talking to these outside of our region, what they want to know is, do you have the people to take the jobs? Do you have the talent base? And we know we've got great talent here in Southeast Michigan. And the second question is, can they access the jobs? So when we complete that puzzle and we create that access, the possibilities for growth for this region, which I believe most of us want to have happen, become even greater because they see us moving as one region as opposed to individual communities.
Speaking about the rest of the region, you've been in recent years able to get Oakland and Macomb County to add countywide to the system and stuff like that. Can you talk about the growth of services and ridership you've seen since both counties were completely on board?
So with Macomb County, historically, they've always been in Holland. They've never had an opt-out provision. But what has happened in Macomb County is the relationship with the northern Macomb communities has always been a little tenuous because there wasn't a good partnership with those communities. And since I've been at SMART, we went to those communities and we asked them, what do you want? And so now we're in a very good place where we've actually turned that narrative completely around. Macomb County is some of our best partners, and the northern communities are really excited about the services that we provide. We're seeing, again, busting at the seams, over 100% increases in ridership because of the types of services we have provided. And Oakland County, the same thing. We had a lot of resistance in 2022 because it was resistance to change. And we understand that, right? And everyone's not going to agree with public transit as an option. And that's not the expectation. But for the folks who need it, for the people that rely on it, and for people that rely on transit, making the case and providing that education, they were able to say yes. And now that they have, what we see is 150% increases in the North Oakland Transit Authority, the Western Oakland Transit Authority, and the Older Persons Commission. They are constantly requesting additional vehicles and more capacity for drivers to do the services that their community demands of them. And so what I anticipate will happen, given a successful passage on August 4th, is that those communities, once they're asked to be in the system and it's approved, if it's approved, they'll be having those conversations with SMART. What is it that you actually need? And when those services are provided, we'll have a full connected system that people rely on that provides a real value to the community.
Now, some people that are questioning the millage have asked questions about SMART's employee legacy costs and the legal liability costs that are coming in. There's some concern that a lot of this money for the new Wayne County millage would go towards that. Can you talk about those costs that SMART's are doing and how would you answer the questions that people have about that?
So there are always some preconceived notions that are false, and I'll just say it plainly, they're false. SMART has been beyond fiscally responsible. We are industry leaders, in fact, in how we manage our municipal finances. So on the first point of the legacy costs, the pension liability, we were able to shore up our pension at 94% and our retiree health care pension at 112%. We're solid on our numbers. We were able to use our ARPA dollars wisely to be able to manage through and apply those funds so that we can be responsible. That saved us millions of dollars a year that we put into service. On the other issue of, balanced budgets every year, clean audits every year, and fiscal responsibility at its finest. Right now, my administrative costs are at 10%. And that's where I intend to keep them. The new funds that come into SMART will be used to put into service. That is the goal here, and that is really the goal. It has been the goal of SMART over the years.
Now, some critics have talked about legal liability. I imagine when you run a transit service like this, there's going to be lawsuits, stuff like that all the time. Anything out of the ordinary for SMART?
Nothing out of the ordinary, and we have such a focus on safety. We instituted an office, a VP of Safety. That was a new office that was created about 2.5 years ago that is strictly focused on de-escalation training, driver retraining, all of the things that lead to safety. And what we're seeing now is that when there's accidents on the road, by and large, they're because someone has decided to cut off a bus, unfortunately, not because our operators are doing things that cause the accidents. And there are times they're human, and sometimes things do happen, but we don't have extraordinary legal fees that we're paying. And I really am proud of the work that SMART's been doing to really put a focus on safety. What I say to our operators and to our mechanics is, when you come to work, my full expectation is that you return home as you came, or even better than that. And so we are focused on safety. You need to do the speed limit. You need to be mindful and do defensive driving when you're driving, so that we can keep everybody safe.
One last question, to put it simply, what happens if the millage does not pass on August 4th?
So our funding for Wayne County goes through December 31st of 2026. And if the millage does not pass in the beginning of next year, we'll have to start winding down SMART services. Obviously, October we don't want to move forward with, but we'll do our best to work with communities to identify places where we wind down and create the least amount of pain points this one. So.
Well, Tiffany, we appreciate you coming out. I know you're really busy these days, but I appreciate you coming out and spending some time to talk to us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. That's all we have for this edition of CityScape. We thank you for your time, and we'll catch you again next time.